Hi, and welcome to Talent Acquisition to Talent Advisory. I'm Antonia Jennings, and I'm the Director of Talent Attraction at Pegasystems and the Director and Co-founder of Avidity & Co. Today, we're going to go through a number of topics, so let's set the agenda for you. We're going to talk about why change is important to you, why this transformation is right for your business now, and how you're going to take them through it. So we'll start with setting those foundations for you as well. This is a key transformation for your business, so the building blocks to start with are fundamental. We'll move on to how we create those categories and competencies for this framework, and we'll look about how we pull it all together for you. And finally, how are you going to roll it out to your team and to the business? So you joined a session, you definitely selected this one. What's in it for you? Well, we're going to look at how we create a high-performing team more capable of performing against goals. And these are their goals they've set for themselves. They're your goals you set for them as a talent leader, but they're also the business goals, what the business expects of your function as you move into being an advisory function. This is going to give you and your team the ability to attract and close higher quality candidates, because the conversations you'll be having and the market intelligence you'll be bringing to the business is going to be at a different level. It'll give your business the opportunity to make better hiring decisions because they're going to have higher quality of candidates being presented to them and engaged throughout the process. And it will enhance your candidate experience and your company brand. And at the end of the day, that's everything that we all want. So are you ready for some change? Let's talk about that transition from acquisition to advisory. There's key concepts of introducing change to a business. Number one, your business needs to be on board. You need to be mapping out the key stakeholders and decision makers that are going to be impacted by this transformation. My advice here is really start at the top of that org chart and work your way down. And consider all aspects as well. It's not just your hiring managers or your team that will be going through this transformation. It could be the support staff. It could be other people within the business function. Really take a broad view about who needs to be consulted and who needs to be engaged. Gather feedback from them and use it to form your data points. No change happens by just going in blind. You need to realize what is your starting point, where are some of your key milestones to measure, and what is the ideal end outcome you're wanting to achieve. Ensure you consider every level. Don't go into this transformation thinking about the team that you have today. This transformation and this framework is to take your team over the next 3-5 years and beyond. So consider every level within your team. You might not have juniors or graduate recruitment coming on right now, but you may in the future. You might not be big enough to have leadership roles, but you may in the future. So consider every level when you develop your profiles. And be realistic with your time. This change is not going to happen tomorrow. It's about behavior change, mindset change, as well as some of the execution factors. And all of those things need to take people who are never really great at change through different journeys. So give yourself that time. Don't underestimate it, because a rushed transformation through to this will see you fall backwards into acquiring and metric-driven recruitment. So where do we begin on this journey? Starting off, what are the levels of your TA function from junior to senior? And again, let's remember this isn't today, but what are you looking for in the future? What would an ideal team look like to you? And make sure you map out those levels and profiles across the whole suite. What are the key themes of competencies that are important for success? And this isn't success necessarily defined by you. This can be the success that is the person, the individuals. How do they rate their success? But also, what does success look like for your business? So the feedback you gathered from those stakeholders, this is where you'll build that in to understand what success looks like from your executives in the business. It's critical you embed the values of your company. As I said, these are behaviors and mindset changes here. So it's critical you look at where can you actually execute on some of these, but how is this a behavior change that you're going to recognize in the day-to-day operations of your team? And then you're going to get into some detail. And this is where you as a leader will come right down into the micro, because you're going to need to really detail the actions and behaviours that are required for each of the competencies that you define, for each of the categories you've defined. You can't actually send this transformation out with a high-level visionary and expect people to adopt. They're going to need to be taken on the journey, and they're going to need to see demonstrable steps that they can take of recognised behaviours and actions where they see themselves progressing through from being acquisition through to advisory. We'll grade those descriptions from junior to senior and map them back to which the levels that you've mapped. And you're going to see an overlap in these. Again, this is a career development journey. It is not black and white, step 1, 2, and 3. You're going to see where people's strengths shine, where the development areas come in, and that will overlap as they go through this journey. And then you'll build out your learning tracks as well. And that's personalized to your company most of the time. So you'll see where your team is going to go from, no, not for us, to really, let's go. Let's show the business what we can do. So let's jump into it. The profiles levels define how we perform our jobs and how we grow into talented advisors. What we've looked at here is 5 key profile levels. So we start with emerging. This is somebody who demonstrates an introductory understanding and ability and has to work with guidance, applies the competencies in a few simple situations. This type of individual would be new to the business. They could be brand new graduate recruiter coming in. It could be somebody who's had a career change into recruitment. All of their skills are very much emerging in this area. But they'll start to move into solid, where we can actually see them demonstrate this with guidance. They'll apply the competency in quite common situations that still present limited difficulty, but they're a little bit more confident in their skill sets. They'll move to strong, where they're going to be able to explain and apply that competency with minimal or no guidance in the full range of typical situations. So this is somebody who's competent in the day-to-day life of recruitment and can really work with minimal supervision. When we move into the advanced, we're looking at that person and they're going to be able to apply the competency described in quite novel and complex situations. So they're going to be thinking more creatively, more critical thinking and problem solving, very much consultative behaviours here. And then when we look at exceptional, this is somebody who demonstrates an exceptional knowledge. They're going to be able to apply the competencies in the most complex situations. They could be high-pressured situations. There could be situations where they're faced with the most senior level of executives being involved with certain decisions. So they are recognised as an expert, both internally in your business, but also externally within their peer groups. And their peer group could be internally within talent or the people function. It could be within their particular vertical, pharmaceutical, government, technology, but they're seen as that subject matter expert. So we've started to define the categories and competencies. The categories here are the headings. And these are the ones that I've defined as I've gone through this journey with 3 companies. But these are things that you can start to use as your big buckets. And what does success mean to your business? So starting off, we looked at being the business. This was critical to us. And the competencies we looked at below that was somebody who had clarity on current and future business strategy. They spoke the language of the business. They really understood the true acronyms used, the phrases, the terminology that the business spoke in. They understood the interdepartmental roles and how they actually worked with each other. And they were an active participant in workforce planning. Second, we described it as finding talent. And the competencies here was somebody who could build robust pipelines with candidates that fit the success profiles. Not somebody who just purely could execute on the job they were being hired to do, but somebody who could really execute on the values of the company. It was someone who had the ability to accurately assess that talent against a key requirement. And they could manage the recruitment process and champion process evolution. They also provided every candidate with an exceptional experience. This has been critical throughout everybody's journey. Business partnering. So being able to influence with data-driven conversations, having the courage and convictions to advocate their point of view, have consultative problem-solving skills, and effective communication and relationship building. The fourth was our recruitment mindset. So really having that persistence and adaptability to address tough issues, maintain focus and remain flexible as changes occur within the business. This is one competency that's more critical than ever before. Data-centric thinking, so being able to really gather data and bring that into our discussions and our influencing. Having critical decision-making abilities. And somebody that's very results orientated, they have that sense of urgency to ensure the alignment is with the business and that the projects stay on track. A fifth was operational excellence, which is core to many of our teams. Time management, data integrity with systems, input and process, project management, and recruitment tool usage, maximizing the benefits and outcomes out of the investment we've made into the systems and tools. And finally, being a market expert. So somebody who knows the company value proposition, who knows the key product areas of the company, but also why someone should come and work here. They bring that business intelligence, their market data, and the insights into every conversation that they're having. So what does that look like? Here's an example competency development map. So as you can see, we've got the category, and we've got across the top our profiles: emerging, solid, strong, advanced, and exceptional. The category being the business, and then the competency having clarity on current and future business strategies. And this is where the detail comes in. This is probably going to be the hardest part or the longest part of this project for you, because you need to start thinking line by line. So we start off with 0, they're brand new to role. Okay, so that's an absolute junior coming into the role. But as we progress through, and we'll see the overlap, look at the emerging. So for this role, we're looking at somebody who starts to build relationships with the hiring team and has a basic understanding of the current active recs and openings for a particular customer group that they recruit in. And their rec load focuses on the most immediate business needs, the here and now. But as they progress through, they'll look at that and they'd have the ability to build relationships with more senior managers. They start asking questions that correlate to larger teams or business functions. And their rec load extends out to include future requisitions as well, maybe this quarter, maybe the rest of the half of this year. And as they progress further to be strong, we look at both of those, as well as building out relationships with much more senior. This could be director or VP levels within the business units they support. Their focus starts looking at business objectives, future pipeline, future needs, and understanding that longer term hiring forecast and strategy. Could be up to 1 year out. And they have the ability to articulate strategies cross-functionally now. As they progress into the advanced level, they start having the relationships that extend beyond the talent attraction. So they're seen by the TA and the people function as a point person for particular business functions. They correlate that position with the longer term strategy of the business, and they can articulate the strategy internally as well as getting out to external candidates. And finally, when they're at the top of their game, this is exceptional. They may have relationships with regional and global senior leaders within the function, and that will include those at the executive level. They will have extensive knowledge of the business, and they're consulted as a talent SME by senior leaders on talent, hiring, and workforce planning strategies. So we can see as they've moved from emerging, solid, strong, advanced, and exceptional, how they've gone through this journey and what's required of them, and it's clear to them. So an example of a profile grid you build out to this is you would have your categories along the left-hand side, each of the competencies outlined, and then each of your profiles along the top, and you'd start to rate where you'd want them. So for a recruiter, you'd want them to be solid on the business strategy, but they might be strong on speaking the language of the business. They haven't quite developed all of their skills to get to advanced or exceptional on how the business speaks. But they're very strong in terms of their screening, defining the process, managing the process, and their candidate experience. And if you look right to the right-hand side, maybe one of your principal recruiters, they're going to be exceptional to advanced in most of the competencies that you're looking for. So it's a very clear view for your team to see where they're placed at the moment and what the expectation of them is as they go through the journey. And once you've built out your framework, you need to just add on the learning tracks. The learning track should be your TA leaders acting as mentors to all levels below them. This is a hands-on journey. We are in a people function. This is not going to be learning by textbook. This is going to be something where it's an everyday coaching and mentoring opportunity for you to take your person through solid, strong, exceptional, and so forth. Each level should have a learning for each competency. Again, it's a detail-orientated approach, but it ensures that as your team work through this, they know what support's available to them as they come through each competency and as they grow through each level. And the learning should be predominantly on the job experiences and structured training making up 20%. Most of the structured training that we looked at tended to come in around the data-driven thinking. How do they start to articulate methodologies around data-centric or human-centered design or design thinking? And these are things that they may want to take a course on and can be guided. But most of this is about your talent leaders being able to provide these experiences and learning tracks directly on the job with conversations and with real life experiences, stretching the team, getting them to present it in front of more and more senior people, allowing them to own projects, being more visible in global or regional businesses as well. So how do you roll it all out? Let's talk about that. First of all, it is not a performance conversation. This framework and tool should not be used within performance cadence or where they are right now. This is a transformation journey you're taking somebody on. So it's not that they've done anything right or wrong. It's not that they fit necessarily in a poor performer category or a high potential or on your 9-box grid. Think about this as a career development journey for them and a transformation for your business. It starts with self-assessment. Provide this framework to them and get them to start looking and thinking and ranking themselves of where do they see themselves on each of those competencies, from emerging to exceptional. You'll then come in as a manager as well, and you will look at where you feel they are and do this blind. Don't join up, because what you want to do is come to the end and have that joint assessment. It's such a productive conversation to have with your team to be able to see where they feel that they are, where you feel that they are. You may have gathered business stakeholder feedback as well as to where they sit within some of these competencies, and then you can build out their learning tracks for them, and you do it together. It's such a powerful conversation. It is a continual reflection of behaviours. One of the problems that you sometimes find with this framework is people say, well, I've done this, so I need to be promoted to the next level. And this starts again where it is not a performance conversation, it's a transformation. So talking people through what are the behaviours that they're demonstrating? Are they growing through these different journeys? Are they going through different competencies? And how are they performing? And are those behaviours and actions embedded in their everyday? And finally, you're going to share this with the business. You went out to them for their feedback. So to drive success, you need to let them know what you've done. You need to let them know these are the competencies that I heard from you, you required as a key stakeholder. And this is what I'm going to be delivering with my team, or I'm going to be taking on as a talent advisor in your business to be exceptional. And here's where we're at, and this is what great looks like. This is important. You must take the business through this journey with you to get their buy-in, that you've moved from time to fill, time to hire, bums on seats, to we are advisors to your business and we're going to make you more successful. Thanks for your time. I hope you've enjoyed this, and open for questions.